which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda this evening? Okay,
I make a motion, we accept the July 9th, 2024 agenda.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The public participation policy applies to all selectmen meetings. A copy is on the back of each agenda, posted outside this meeting room and on our website. Public input at this time for anything on agenda items only. Seeing no one, we'll go right to appointments. No appointments this evening. Let's go right to new business. Fire Department Chief's Award of Excellence presentation. Chief?
Sit, stand would be best, do you think?
That's entirely up
Whatever
to
you
you,
like.
sir. I
Thank you,
think-
Mr. Chairman, members of the board for allowing me to do this. On May 19th, 2024, at approximately 10:55 in the morning, Alton Fire Rescue was called to a residence for an unresponsive male patient. The patient was at home with his two children during the time of the medical emergency. Through a dispatch update, it was relayed that CPR had been initiated by the patient's son as his reported condition had deteriorated. It is my belief that due to the quick thinking and actions of the patient's son, this potentially serious medical event resulted in a positive outcome for the patient. So with that, something I like to do as a chief is recognize members of the department and also members of the community that kind of go above and beyond. And on behalf of Alton Fire Rescue, Carter, we haven't officially met yet, but I would like to present Carter when he gets up here. Yeah, where are we going, buddy? Carter Bonapane is awarded the Chief's Award of Excellence in recognition for your calm and assertive bravery with initiating the New Hampshire E911 system while performing CPR until first responders arrived during a medical emergency on May 19th, 2024. So with that, there's a certificate and then a challenge coin from the fire department. And I wanted to thank you personally and keep up the good work.
Congratulations. Thanks, Carter. Good job, Carter.
Thank you very much, Chief. and Thank you, Carter.
Thanks, chief. Get it, Carter?
Okay, Parks and Recreation, Jones Field batting cage.
You don't have it? Yeah. Oh, you got the copy of it.
Oh, there you go.
The first portion of this is we took down the old batting cage. Myself, another volunteer, and Department of Public Works assisted. We removed the old batting cage because in the original that we saw, they wanted $2,500. I worked for the town for a long time. I thought it was a waste of money. We took it down ourselves. So that was a savings of $2,500. Also, in this request about this new batting cage is because the insurance company is going to pay for a good portion of it. But because of the size and everything, because it's brand new and where it's going and the location of it is that the cost is a little bit higher, but we have a capital reserve fund for Jones Field. So we can offset that cost. And the good thing about it, even the cost, the offset cost, because of where it's going to be located, we're going to take down the 6-foot fence. Volunteers are going to do that. I happen to be one of them, with assistance of the grounds and maintenance crew. We're going to remove that fence and everything. And when the new fence goes up, it's actually going to be part of the wall. So there's no replacement of that wall. We're not paying for that, or it's actually included as part of the fence. So we thought this was a pretty good deal. The other thing is that the gentleman that we had talked to on this is very knowledgeable in it. He also had a very good price on the fence that was awarded to him earlier, you know, in this whole process. So that's the reason we went back to him and brought him back in. Very knowledgeable individual. The other thing about this batting cage is that it will be constructed properly. We'll leave it at that. And the netting and everything is going to be done by the Alton Youth League. They're actually buying the netting. they're putting it in. I just want to give kudos to the Alton Youth League. They're putting an awful lot of money into what's going on down there. They're building through volunteer work. They're doing the dugouts. Now that the season's over with, they're gonna get back on those and get those built. They've done a lot of work around the park. But also, and I'll hold up there for the second request on this. So that's the first request, that we use the capital reserve fund to offset the batting cage along with the insurance money.
So you know, there's currently $30,000 in that capital reserve. I verified that before the meeting tonight.
Thank you. No, that makes perfect sense. And using the new batting cage, you're gonna be removing the wall.
The
green-
6-foot wall,
the
we'll
6-foot
remove
wall.
that first, and that's exactly what the batting cage is gonna be right
So
there.
it's coming forward from where it was.
Right, yeah, so it's more in planning of what's gonna go on down there, and there's quite a bit more that's gonna happen.
Mhm.
And we've discussed that with the Alton Youth League, and Kelly has been there for every step of it, and so is the Parks and Rec Commission has been there. We're gonna clean up the fields. That's what the bottom line is. We're gonna clean them up, so the fields look like fields and not storage boxes in different
Right.
places and everything. Also, there's a secondary to this. When we come back in, we're gonna ask for a little bit of money to move one of the storage sheds from the right-hand side when you go across the bridge. Took that completely out, and put it closer to the snack shack. Then we'll have that all open space for the future planning of all the playgrounds. So we can empty that space as well, and again, come back in some type of conformity of where everything's offset to the left of the walking path, not in the middle of the field anywhere.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
What's the total amount that they're going? Take the option one or option two.
Well, the amount was
It's 18,000.
$18,663.
So,
So we divide that up
on the last page.
on the last page.
Oh, next. This is the breakdown. 14 would be the insurance payment.
14.
And then the balance.
I don't have any of that.
3,000, okay. Yeah, so they're paying 14,796.53
Is the insurance.
is the
payment.
insurance payout, and then the 3,866.47 be paid out of the Jones Field Capital Reserve. Okay.
I'm missing that page. I don't
So
have
last-
On the back.
No,
No.
no,
This way.
I don't have that.
Okay, right, it's right
You
here.
tell me the amounts.
Well, the
So
insurance.
we're gonna expel how much out of the capital reserve account? Divide the 18,663 by 2?
It's right here.
38, the three,
No, 3866.
3860.
38,
Oh, so it's gonna be
3,866.
14,796.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you wanna, are you
Yeah.
greenlight it?
Yep.
I would like to appropriate $14,796.53 out of the capital.
No,
The,
that's out of Primex.
out of
The insurance.
Primex, I'm sorry.
The insurance payment.
Out of for the insurance payment to go to the Alton Parks and Rec Jones Field improvement
With,
with $3,866.47 be paid from the Jones Field Capital Reserve Fund for the remainder of the batting cage costs.
do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I didn't want that. My bad.
Okay. Okay, next, Parks and Recreation Jones Field Improvement Request.
So dealing with the Alton Youth League, there's been a real good thing from what has happened in the past. This Alton Youth League is working very hard. They are going to pay to have the infields dug out and brought back to Little League standards. And they're gonna do all that, and it's gonna cost them about $5,000 as an estimate of what they're paying someone to remove those infields. We requested DPW whether or not they would go and pick up the material. We were gonna get it purchased only because they have better purchasing power, the Alton Youth League. We'd like to be able to purchase it, them to purchase it, we'll pick it up and move it and then reimburse the materials only. So we're requesting, the operating budget in 4194599, which has about $3,500 in it. To do, we're gonna put just a limit on it of $1,500 for the infield mix. That's coming back in. I think that's a good fair shake for the town if they're gonna pay for all the other stuff that's going on.
Were you able to get any other prices from any
Oh.
contractors?
Kelly got some,
It's in the memo.
yeah. And we looked
Yes, I
in
can tell
a
you.
couple of places and believe me, they were like $28 a ton. The youth league, we can get it for little or nothing, and I think it's because they're a youth league.
You're right, okay.
Did you guys, there's a place out of Henniker, I used to get it for Farmington. It's not stone dust, it's actually infield mix. And it's, I know, back then it was a little pricey, but it was,
Well, that's the infield mix was Dirt Doctors, and that's what they're gonna use on Little Fenway.
okay.
And stone dust is for, and I'm gonna say it wrong, but the very back field, the very far back, right-hand side field.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're gonna be nothing but stone dust in that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, that's more like, yeah. All right, yeah, they're doctor, oh, so they have an infield mix, wonder what that,
Yeah, Dirt Doctors tends to be on the pricey side.
yeah, they do little specialty
Yeah.
stuff like that, which the place in Henniker did that too, and they were, it was right around, I think back then it was like $38 a ton, that's 30, it was high thirties, but that was also 7 years ago.
And this is youth league pricing.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
so we-
oh, sorry to interrupt, but the Dirt Doctors was not where we were purchasing it from. That was the price of the $53.50 per yard. And where the Alton Youth League wanted to purchase it was was $16.37 versus $53.50. And that was at Floored Sand and Gravel and Hookset.
Yeah.
And those were prices that they
Mm.
received. So we were just showing, reflecting.
Was it the same
What the-
kind of mix?
I don't believe that it is exactly the same,
No, probably not for that price.
no.
Okay.
But the youth league, that was what they were recommending and that they were going to be happy with that.
So you're asking for two things, basically on this, permission to, basically to do the work. Am I
Yeah.
correct on that?
yeah, because it
And-
is town property.
And also to appropriate $1,500.
A maximum of $1,500 for the infield mix. All the other costs will be borne by the youth league.
And
whatever
where are you taking the 1,500 out of?
Operating budget numbers right there.
Right, so it was
Jones
infield,
Field?
Operating,
It was-
not this capital reserve, but the operating line.
Okay,
it was infield mix and stone dust for this, for the $1,500 cap.
Okay, because the prices you have listed in here total 1,200.
Right, that there would be a cap of
We didn't
1,500
know if
in
there-
case it went up within the next couple of weeks of when, or whenever it was purchased.
I think there'll be a 25% increase in,
Well, the point is, if it's not used, we're not gonna reimburse the Alton Youth League.
Just for what the actual cost would be.
So we were just there just to cover it, just so we didn't have to come back to the board and say, oh, it went up $1.
mhm.
And this memo was sent to the Public Works Director and it was copied to the selectmen. And the Public Works Director did reply with an answer. So this was just to keep the board informed.
But
It's a-
he would be able to get involved as long as you gave him ample enough time
Correct.
to plan for it.
Yes.
Because of their workload,
Yes,
in order for them to help you.
right. So it was a cooperative effort.
Next one, next page.
I did read it.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Ye-
include that.
Yeah, I saw this, yeah, from, okay. DPW.
Here's the
It-
bottom
just
point, we're gonna
coordination.
put in a little bit and the Youth League's putting in a lot. And because it is town property, it's all still town property, so.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to that or? Any questions? Okay, in that case, I'll make a motion to approve the work to be done in Jones Field, with the Alton Youth League and the assistance of the, Department of Public Works when needed, to do the work that is necessary to, redo the ball fields at Jones Field and to, also, okay, the $1,500 coming out of the Jones Field operating budget for, assisting in this project,
Not exceeding 15.
not to exceed $1,500.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
Thank you very
Alright,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for your assistance on the
Thank you
project as
both.
well.
I thought I had fun.
Okay, moving on to application for voluntary change of address, 53 Frohawk Brook Road.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we received this request for voluntary change of address from a resident on Frohawk Brook. The application for voluntary change is presented in your binder. We did reach out to E911 to make sure there was no restrictions. And in the attached emails are the communication with them, letting us know that we should go through the process of a voluntary change, but they did not have any concerns with this specific request.
Were there any other concerns from the fire department or police department?
No, not in this particular area. It wouldn't affect renumbering or anything in
okay.
that sense.
I'll make a motion. We accept the application for voluntary change of address for the address as stated.
Have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have no old business. Selecting reports. Drew,
I have nothing.
Richard,
Big double whammy for me. Next week, we have, both the, hazardous waste meeting for the month and the milfoil committee meeting in the afternoon of the same day. Both programs seem to be, proceeding well with no major issues, so I'm looking forward to the meetings.
okay. Andy?
I have nothing.
I have my planning board meeting coming up next week and we'll see how that goes. Couple of things going on. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
We
Uh,
have, incidentally, we have, master planning committee meeting next week.
The 18th, I think.
Yeah,
believe.
do we have a board member that's assigned to that, or should we, or
I
are we
think the master
covered?
plan committee was
You and me.
Yeah, the
It
two
was
of
you
us.
and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe I have it in my.
That's how I have it. I have it.
I think I have it in my phone for the date.
Also, if I could, I've been in the process of gathering swap shop data from a number of sources, and I'd like to have an item on the second July meeting agenda so that I could present that information to the board, if we can do that.
Of course.
No problem with that. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. ZBA will be having their next meeting on July 11th at 6 p.m. with 7 cases, which will be 3 special exceptions, 2 variances, and 2 administration appeals for short-term rental and building permit. Old Home Day Committee met on July 8th. The booklets are out. If you haven't seen them, they're out. They should be out. You can pick them up. They've been placed in all the stores and places in town. You'll be able to pick them up, which will be August 9th, for the week of festivities, August 9th through the 18th, 2024. And this year, it is Alton Old Home Days, a New Hampshire tradition. And, everything's in the booklet for each and every night. So everybody's looking forward to that. And that's all I have. Town administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first thing, in regards to the Old Home Week, the board received an official invitation, through me, for the, parade. That is actually the Old Home Day Parade being held on the 10th
Mhm.
of Old Home Week. It's at 11:30. I'm just putting it out there for your information now, that, we're, at some point they would like some sort of confirmation if some or all are going to attend and whether or not we would like to walk, ride, whatever the board's choice is.
year? Yeah.
Whatever the
Yeah.
board Whatever the board would
As
like to
As
do.
long as I don't have a gas issue.
Yeah, put the cars, we put our
Couldn't be
cars in
able
the
to
parade
this year.
last year.
As long as mine doesn't collide
And
with
then
anything.
the other select.
Car
brothers
gas,
want
not
to
another
car.
gas problem.
The BMW, you want to put it in there?
Yeah.
You can, yeah, we all do it.
What,
Yeah.
Okay, well,
what would you say that was August tenth?
August 10th,
10th.
What time?
11:30.
Yeah, that's correct. You want to look in the booklet?
You want a booklet?
So what I'll do is I'll carry this on to my report again for next meeting,
Okay.
2 weeks out or whatever, so then everybody can check their schedules and I can kind of get a rough idea to respond to the ABA's invitation.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
Next thing I have is, there's a memo in your book too from, the town clerk. Jen would like to establish, her own clerk's, webpage, social media page for the clerk's office. She's outlined that it would be, a forum to post information, specific to town business and, the clerk's office in particularly. Private messages will have an automatic reply that the page is not monitored regularly and provide people with the contact information to the town clerk tax collector's office. And there will be no set schedule on, the clerk or collector's behalf of updating information. It would be sporadic when time allows, to maintain. It'd be similar to all the other department pages that are out there right now.
Right, the
but
one's already up.
She wanted to make sure that the board was in support of her moving forward with that.
And this is not responding to any comments.
No.
This is strictly informational only.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
do you need a vote on that or just a general?
Just
consent?
just a consensus.
I'm-
Just the
I'm-
board's in favor.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, is this something that there would be a link on the town website that could bring people to it or?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They can add that stuff to the actual department page off of the town website. Things
Yeah,
of that.
because I know I struggle getting information on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I know everybody else does out there. And I think if we could just have a link for, the planning does one as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think links would be very helpful.
Yep,
Sure.
absolutely. The next thing, I had a meeting, with the Public Works Director, and during our meeting, we had discussed, upcoming projects, different things. One of the questions he had for me based on, the discussion that we had with DOT referenced the, culvert replacement. There was talk about that stop sign at Rand Hill Road and Alton Mountain. There's 2 stop signs. There's one on Rand Hill that continues. It's kind of an awkward stop there at that 4-way intersection. And there was discussion. So, the DPW director was looking for clarification from the board if they indeed wanted to proceed with removing the stop sign off of Rand Hill and just keeping the one on Alton Mountain. That was what we discussed, possibly with the detour route on Rand Hill, taking out that stop sign as to making it easier. But he wasn't sure whether or not that was, that was the discussion, but we really
Right.
kind of didn't settle
Didn't
on
settle on it.
whether or not we we're going to move forward with that as an actual change.
What did he
moving
think of
forward.
coming up that hill at the blind corner and stuff? Coming up that hill where it would be continuing now, people coming from
was-
a Rand Hill roadside where the stop sign is? Did he think there'd be an issue with that blind curve? People, if, in case that gets backed up, people taking a left up there? He said it was good, right?
Yeah, he didn't
Didn't seem to be concerned.
see with any issue with that.
So I think it would be, we would just remove the stop sign, right?
It'd just be removing the stop sign and people would be on Rand Hill.
And that's
would
the
go straight
continuous
through.
road anyway.
Yeah.
A continuous road and the people coming off of Alton Mountain Road would stop.
Yeah. We
As
still
they
have,
do.
if things don't go well, we can still put it back, right?
Right,
Oh, good,
exactly,
yeah. I
exactly.
mean,
I mean,
always-
it's worth,
always
it's worth
decide.
trying to see how it moves forward.
I guess the question was, during the conversation, there was the thought that if we were going to do it for the detour, that we should probably do it sooner than later to get people conditioned for it, so that we didn't just yank the stop sign once they use it as a detour.
Mhm.
So,
Does it make sense to add a sign at the Alton Mountain stop sign that basically also reminds people that nobody is stopping on Rand Hill Road?
Yeah, actually, part of that conversation too was exactly right, was the addition of a stop sign ahead sign
Yes.
on Alton Mountain further back,
Yeah,
so that people are prepped for that intersection.
yeah, okay, good.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Your general consensus is go ahead and
To go
remove
ahead
one
and
of the stop signs. If
move
we have
forward?
to put it back, we'll do it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Next thing I just wanted to update the board on, there's a couple issues that arose through the busy weekend. I'm sure you guys got phone calls on some of them. So just to let you know what's being addressed at this time currently. So first and foremost, boat trailer parking is getting out of control.
Yes.
And especially during the busy weekend, the holiday weekend, it was substantial. This weekend, not only do we have a problem with boat trailer parking in the bay, but Levy Park got filled up with boat trailers as well. So since the weekend, we contacted, the Public Works Director, found some more no boat trailer parking signs. Those will be installed at Levy Park as well. To make sure that that is properly posted as well. Not to mention, I had a meeting with the police chief. We discussed more enforcement actions. We did look back at the log and there was tickets issued to some of those vehicles this weekend. But there is going to be a concerted effort to step up that enforcement.
Yeah.
Um,
Good. 'Cause it
you
was
know,
definitely a
between
problem.
ticketing and the possibility of towing as well.
Yeah, it was definitely a problem.
So those were two issues. The other issue that's becoming a problem in the Bay is businesses in the area utilizing those A-frame signs on town property.
I heard that too.
You know, our policy, our ordinance and our policy for signs is that temporary signs can be utilized under the ordinance, but only on the property that you own, not
Right.
town property. So with that said, obviously it's, you know, one business does it and another one does it, and then they,
It's getting
before
more
you
and
know
more.
it, they're down at the public ramp, they're up
Yeah.
by the picnic tables.
I was
Um,
called on that as well.
yeah, so I talked to DPW. The concern was obviously for the PD to go down there, those signs don't fit in the chargers. So I during my conversation with the Public Works Director, grounds and maintenance staff with the pickup truck are gonna go down and collect those signs. Tomorrow, they're gonna start collecting them. Businesses have been warned.
Have they all been warned?
Most of them throughout the years. I mean, this is a repeated thing.
There's some new businesses there that probably don't know.
Okay.
So I think maybe it should maybe be called first and give them one last chance to comply. If not, then
Okay,
that's in my opinion.
all right. I mean, normally what we would do is because what ends up happening is they go collect them for that day and then they come back out again, but we
I
weren't gonna,
noticed a lot
and
more.
when I say collect them, we weren't, the plan wasn't to dispose of them or
Oh,
get rid of them.
okay.
It was that we
They get
collect
the-
them and then when they call, we have them collect them
Okay.
from the town department where they're
Okay.
issued their formal warning at that point in
Okay,
time.
I
that if they're found
misunderstood.
again,
I
okay,
thought you were
no,
taking
no,
them
no,
away
we're
and throwing
gonna-
them away.
We're not gonna take them and throw them away or destroy them. We've found over the years that that was the most effective
Mhm.
approach. Let's
Yeah,
put
I
it that
like
way.
it.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, it started off slow. There was only
Mhm.
one or two, and then in over the last weekend, there was, I don't know, I lost count.
Yeah, I went down there this afternoon
There was a few.
around
There was
3 o'clock today, and I think there was six or seven of them.
Yeah,
So-
I saw a couple new ones this morning.
Oh, I did see a new one too for that new business.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There was a couple of small new ones, yeah,
Mhm.
they're popping up everywhere.
Yep. So those are some of the issues that that we are aware of, that you know, that we've received phone calls on, along with personal observations. The other thing that we have going on right now, you know, sort of a little townwide update, as you can imagine, because I'm sure some of you have received calls too. We're getting a real uptick in code violations, short-term rentals violations. So right now, we're currently dealing with some outstanding violations on 2 different residents on Main Street, Legacy Landing, commercial building on Main Street, short-term rental on Route 11, Mount Major Highway. We also have a business operating in the Bay, despite the fact of being served with a cease and desist by the police department. So we are currently escalating into 2 separate situations where we are pursuing further court action through the town attorney for just blatant outright disregard for the notices being served.
I was
and-
at that
and the
planning
violation.
board meeting and it was cut and dry. You cannot. And then the gentleman who owns the businesses, the gentleman that owns the residence, they were both sitting right there. They heard it all.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for, I was present.
So that'll be pursuing. I do know that we have, there was another, park in town that was doing some expansion work. They got stopped in the middle of the building process, with some, and I did have a personal sit down with the owner to explain, why the building department put a stop to it. Cause come to find out, didn't really realize what he was doing at the time. Maybe did, maybe didn't, but I had to clarify that the addition of a lot, even if it's a rented lot and a park, still constitutes the addition to a subdivision. And the particular site had state subdivision approval for a number of units. And they were going to add an additional unit, which would require an amended state approval. And then further subdivision approval, minor subdivision approval, through our local planning board. After that meeting, and that was all explained, to the owner, and the owner was very receptive to it. Followed up with an email, that he had already contacted a local surveying company to get the plans drawn up, and, outlined what his future plans were to rectify the issue. So that should be resolved at this point. It went well, but I know that it gained some attention for the first week or so when, we put a stop to, progress at that point, but there was good reason from the building department to make that happen. Just to make sure everything was done right and appropriately. But we are making an effort, through not only the building department, and its staff, but myself, I'm working closely with any of the contentious issues because many of them are surfacing and maybe gaining more traction on a legal standpoint. So I have offered my assistance, to mitigate or mediate any of these circumstances to see if we can come to a reasonable, conclusion and move things forward, with a compromise one way or another, without compromising, obviously, our zoning regulations or rules. But to get things,
Exactly.
get
That's
the
what-
process
that's-
flowing.
That's because they definitely need the help down there.
Yes,
And-
absolutely.
And that's important. I'm glad to see that there was resolve for that particular case.
Mhm.
The other one I'm concerned with is the short-term rental in a
Mhm.
residential zone.
Right.
That's been going on, and I believe they're ignoring it.
Yes, they were, that particular issue was served with a cease and desist the same day as the commercial business. And they're still, my understanding is it's still operating at this point in time. As is the resident on Main Street that we've been dealing with, the tenting on Airbnb, was served with a cease and desist, and that was disregarded as well at that particular time. So,
Do they need assistance as far as a letter from our office?
I mean,
Because basically that was supposed to come to, the way I understood it when it came through the zoning, that it was going to be a issue. If it becomes an issue, it becomes a selectman issue. That the selectmen or board can authorize a cease and desist on that particular item.
well, actually, I mean, the board can authorize it, but so can the code enforcement officer, because that's a position.
But it's the
up
next
point.
step.
That's an important position. Well, the next step was actually issued by the attorney's office.
Okay.
Because it goes to court, because uh, when you appoint the building inspector or the health officer or the code enforcement, those appointed positions are almost like the appointed police chief or the fire chief, is they act as the representation for the board, in taking that act. So under the authority that she's been granted by the board, she issued the initial cease and desist. The further actions from that have come directly from the attorney's office because they're going to the courts.
Is that because the person that in question never came for an application? Never got approvals or an application in the first place? Because the way that it's supposed to be, if it becomes an issue, the building inspector comes to the selectmen and they can issue a warning with a fine. And that is up to 3 different times. On the third time, they lose their application rights as a
Short-term rental.
short-term rental.
Short-term
That's how it's supposed to work.
Oh, this
But if
wasn't,
these
I'm
people,
sorry,
if
this
these
wasn't. a-
people never, if they never applied for it, then that wouldn't apply.
Yeah, no, these didn't, never had an
That's what
application.
I thought,
There,
okay.
it was, the
So
argument,
that's
the
different.
argument was it's a grandfathered use, which that's not
Okay.
true.
But
So-
any other case like that, that someone.
I get what
came-
you're saying.
that somebody came and they had an application and they were running, everything was fine, and they started having issues. And it can't be handled, then it comes to the selectmen.
Oh, I get,
That's
I
what
didn't realize you were referring specific to the short-term rental application. Because
Yeah.
yes, you're right.
Yes.
We outlined all the consequences
Yes.
under that.
Grandfathered use in a residential zone? Is that?
That's what he just said.
Oh, my.
So a few of these cases do have current appeals that have now been filed to the zoning board, that will be going to the zoning board on
We have
appeal.
two coming.
So two of them
Two
that
appeals that
that
are
will be coming based off of these issues. But again, it's not normal. I wanted to give the board sort of an overview because things have
Yeah.
been piling up and gaining a lot of attention, a lot of phone calls, and I think it was important at this point in time to sort of give you a general overview without calling out particular properties and owners, but letting you know the different situations that we are currently dealing with and currently pursuing further legal action with and trying to resolve.
Thank you.
So.
Yeah.
With that said, that's all I got.
Ryan,
Okay.
quick question, I see the notice, on the building inspector's correspondence here about, the workload that they're dealing with. Do we need to be doing something there when you get to the point where it takes a month to get a building permit?
Mhm.
Then you get builders who start to add in to the price because they know they're gonna get delayed.
Right, correct. What we're starting to work on, well, so the board had approved a part-time employee.
That's right.
But it
That's what I
got
said.
shot down with the default budget. Because the
Ah,
funding for that position was part of the new budget. And again, I would hope that we would try to apply for that again because it's certainly well needed down there.
Well, it's needed for sure.
But the other thing, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
But the other thing that we're working on, and we're gonna have a live date here in a little while, is the building department. We had purchased and been implementing a new software. It's a
Yeah,
planning
yeah.
and permitting software,
Yeah.
but it's going to allow them, not only does it do building, it does code enforcement, but it also has different segments that can be added for planning and zoning. Because currently right now they don't have an active online software. Because the push with this software is that everything will be accessible online and permits can be applied online, tracked online, inspections requested online. It's almost similar to how the state for their septic system approvals went to all online requests for inspections and permitting, and sort of streamlined everything and made it work a lot quicker. So that's another way we're trying to become more efficient with everything that's down there, but they're bogged down. I will say that we're not really, I got an update from Norma today. We sat down before this meeting, just so I'm trying to keep a good pulse on the current activities going on down there and what is happening. And like I said, they're getting bogged down more with complaints. So I'm trying to alleviate some of that pressure by dealing with the lawyers and, town council and the further legal standpoint of the violations. And I did tell her that we needed to prioritize permits and inspections over some of the other issues, just because they're so time consuming to go through the court process that, like you said, there's a lot of people that make their livelihood out of the building and producing these houses and things like that, and setting back inspections and permits. It's just, it creates a lot of tension. So I have put the emphasis, and she's well aware, she has done that, is that's a first priority with what's going on down
I
there.
spoke with her about a week and a half ago, and she, was stressing the idea that it was just getting overloaded
Yes.
and
Mhm.
she's getting overwhelmed in the office
Mhm.
in many ways. And I'm glad, because I did mention to her that maybe if there's anything that we can do with the administration
Mhm.
can do to help, and I'm glad to hear that you've been talking to her, because I said we tried to say that we could help as much as possible
Right.
with the budget that we have.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Do we have a ballpark time frame for when that new software might be in place?
I don't, well, ballpark would be, so they had a meeting this afternoon and that was the update I got. So they're looking at, putting the final touches on. So they've been meeting like every 2 weeks right now, creating. Basically, it's the software, the platform of the software, but they've been utilizing our documents and inputting those and creating templates over the last, I would say, 4 months, 5 months. So my understanding is they're gonna initiate a live date at this next meeting coming up, but I don't have that date, but they're anticipating going live with it within, they indicated within a month or so. And then what we'll have is an overlap time frame. So we do want to go to online permitting, but we can't just pull the plug until you say we're just going online, because we have a lot of people that are doing are gonna rely on paper permits and rain permits. So I did caution them that we're gonna do a slow transition where we're taking both paper permits and online. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Also thank you, chief, for looking into the town dock that was in question, and DPW went out, and I saw the memo, and I saw that the DPW went out there and did the necessary repairs on that dock after that boat sinking. Thank you.
Forgot to bring that.
Sorry. I joked.
That was another weekend issue.
That was another weekend issue.
Good weekend overall.
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
Yep. All right.
Busy weekend.
Yes, it was. Okay. Approval of the minutes.
I make a motion, we approve the June 11th, 2024 public session minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Approval of the agenda, the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the July 9th, 2024 consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
I got a question.
Whoop, okay,
Sorry, you can move a little quick on those.
okay.
The abatement. I was just curious, there was one of the accounts for the waterworks abatement credit. And it's listed for non-use, $410. How did they get billed $410 if they're not using water?
That's,
Wasn't that a meter thing?
I believe it was a meter issue.
I believe that.
The
yeah, I
meter
thought that
wasn't-
was a meter thing.
Well, they list other ones as, defective equipment or something along those lines, but this one just says non-use.
yes, it does. This one says systems error.
assume that's equipment.
Overcharge and system error,
Yeah.
and then a non-use.
There's not much of an explanation otherwise on that particular one.
I thought I saw somewhere that was. a
Oh,
system
it
step.
just says overcharge.
I got further information.
Okay.
It was a disconnected summer line. I just got that information from the superintendent.
So
they charged them,
Not used because it was a disconnected summer line and they got charged
Disconnected.
accidentally for it.
They got charged it, but it was already disconnected. For somehow.
I thought it was a meter.
Okay.
So
the other
without a
ones?
meter, they're still being charged?
They just pulled off from the meter. Like it pulled off from the meter must have kept going or something, I would imagine, right? I thought there was something up with the meter on that one too.
Yeah, the meter would keep going only if there was water flowing through it.
Right.
That's why it's just that it just caught my attention. It
Yeah.
seems very unusual.
What I think, so some of them that don't have meters on them have a base fee that they pay. So usually like $110.
Yes.
For base usage if it's on. So when it was a disconnected summer line, these people disconnected early and shut down, but they were still being charged the base rate, not meter usage, but the base rate.
Okay.
I don't remember
Okay.
Yep, so I just got confirmation again that the superintendent is paying attention to the discussion.
Is he whispering in your ear?
No, no, no. She just confirmed that the
Confirm.
summer lines aren't metered. It's a flat rate per month for the time that the line's in use. And these particular individuals disconnected early, but were still billed the flat rate per month. And that's what the terminology, the non-use is, that they verified that line had been disconnected, so they shouldn't have been charged the flat rate for during that time period. Does that make sense?
Yes and no. I got a lot more questions, but we can move on.
But you know, there's, all three of them have a different issue. And I see where you're coming from, you know, the overcharge, the system error and the non-use.
All right, so we had a
Okay,
motion and a second. Sorry.
No, I went a little fat. That's
Yeah,
me.
and I went a little faster.
I went fat. We went fat. Sorry.
Hungry.
Yes.
Well, no, it was
This line.
second, then discussion, and now we go. Yeah, no,
Oh,
we
it is
still-
second then discussion? So we did do
Oh,
it right.
okay, right.
Okay. We're doing okay. We're doing
Now we're just waiting for Paul.
Yep.
You all set, Drew?
I'm good, thanks.
Anything else?
No.
All right.
He's like, I don't want another explanation.
Okay, do we have a motion?
We did.
We did have a
For
motion.
me
All in,
and
all in favor?
I.
Aye.
There we go. Now we're back on track.
Okay, there are no requests this evening for appointments. Public input, 5 minutes on any government town business.
It's a party in here.
Seeing none, we'll close the public input. No non-public session this evening. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, you could do it. You go.
You go.
No, after you, age before.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There you go. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For the water